Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 133 The Aura of an Empyrean. The fighting monarch contained a mighty aura that looked down upon the world, not one bit inferior to the power of the great world. Back then, Xiaoyan was merely at the level of the fighting monarch, and he had broken into the underground black world of the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf. When he encountered the fire dragon that the Xiaoao had transformed into when it was alive, the Emperor's aura within his body erupted. After absorbing the sacred aura of the fire dragon, he encountered the azure ancient profound bird of the guardian of the forest domain, which collided with Elder Yi's soul force. The overflowing qi continued to merge with the sovereign qi in Xiaoyan's body until it clashed with the few holy beast-level soul bodies in the illusion realm. Finally, the sovereign qi broke through the shackles and condensed into the prestige power spell. Although the prestige power spell could only withstand the suppression of an emperor cultivation level warrior due to Xiaoyan's strength and the strength of his soul, the qi it contained was the true sovereign qi, which was the saint qi of a great world. If this saint qi was injected into the flame humanoid, it would definitely be comparable to the qi of a true Yi Tianqian. Most of the participants can simulate the shape of the image with flames, but the difficulty of this round is that they need to infuse the qi into the simulated human, making it more realistic, just like seeing a real person. Hua Yan leaned back in his seat and looked at everything in the arena as he spoke slowly. How can these kids experience the strength of the old senior? In the end, I'm afraid the qi of monarch emperor or emperor cultivation will be at its peak. The middle-aged man said in a low voice. The so-called qi was to use the origin monarch qi in his body to simulate the qi of an expert. Borrowing the high compatibility between the soul and the flame, it would allow the origin monarch qi to enter the flame. In order to meet the requirements, one could only use one's soul energy to sense it. The 30 people with the strongest senses would enter the next round. However, these participants were no more than 20 years old. How could they possibly experience the power of a true powerhouse? Don't say that, Sect Master Xiao. Li Daoyuan smiled and said, I never wanted them to simulate the power of a true expert. The basic requirement of simulating it is that their qi has come into contact with the qi of a true expert, or even integrated with it. With their age, naturally, they can't force it. The ancient holy beast that was revealed last time, the blue flame lightning rhino, was a true high-grade holy beast. The final participant that obtained first place only managed to simulate the aura of a high-grade heavenly beast. The middle-aged man nodded and looked at the distant Xiao Yu, who had a solemn expression on his face. He said softly, Xiao Yu can definitely simulate the qi of a monarch cultivation warrior. Hua Yan, who was standing next to him, smiled. The middle-aged man's strength had reached the peak of monarch cultivation. As the son of the middle-aged man, Xiao Yu had naturally integrated the qi of the middle-aged man into his body. It should be a piece of cake for him to simulate the qi of a monarch cultivation. Taking a deep breath, Xiaoyan slowly closed his eyes. His soul power surged out from between his brows, completely wrapping around the human-shaped flame in his hand. Then, he started to sense the prestige power spell in front of his chest. His soul power covered his chest, and he could vaguely feel a bottomless black hole. Waves of terrifying qi could be felt coming from the black hole. Soul energy entered the black hole. In an instant, a dark golden word suddenly appeared in Xiaoyan's mind. The word was floating with an endless flow of qi. As the word trembled, it caused the surrounding space to tremble, as if it was going to shatter the heaven and earth. Power. Under the senses of Xiaoyan's weak soul, this word seemed to be able to suppress the endless blue sky. A terrifying qi was emitted from it, like a sharp sword that could shatter the space, causing people to tremble in fear. Without any hesitation, Xiaoyan's soul energy turned into a ray of light. It struck the dark golden word at lightning speed, causing the word to tremble slightly. An endless amount of terrifying qi was unleashed. It was like a violent storm that almost destroyed Xiaoyan's soul. The moment the qi was released, it was pulled by the soul force. It was instantly injected into the flame in Xiaoyan's hand. In an instant, the dancing flame suddenly flashed with a trace of light, and a trace of terrifying pressure slowly formed. Li Zan took a deep breath, and the majestic origin monarch qi in his body began to churn crazily. It flowed along his special meridians and gathered in the palm of his hand that was holding the flame. Li Zan's eyes swept across the big hall. A trace of a cold smile flashed across the corner of his mouth. According to what he knew, Li Daoyuan, Hua Yan, and even Xiao Yu's father Xiao Wang were all monarch cultivation warriors. In other words, Xiao Yu, who was his strongest opponent, could simulate the most powerful ki. It was the ki of a monarch cultivation warrior. If that was the case, then he would be the first in this round without any suspense. After all, he had the ki of a heavenly sovereign warrior. Bang! The majestic origin monarch ki in Li Zan's hand suddenly rushed out. At the same time, a sharp ki was unleashed from his body. Combined with his origin monarch ki, it was injected into Yi Tianshan's body, which was simulated by the blue flame. The moment this ki appeared, the flames that were barely burning in the hands of the surrounding people were extinguished as if they had been struck by a storm. Even the flames that had been simulated by some of the contestants in the distance suddenly disappeared. Li Zan saw this and only chuckled, no longer caring about the gloomy faces of the contestants. This is the aura of the heavenly sovereign expert. The experts on the judges' seats felt the sudden eruption of aura and their expressions changed slightly. Li Daoyuan frowned and suddenly sneered, "I finally know who this little thing is." Since his surname is Li and he possesses the aura of the heavenly sovereign expert, there is a high chance that he is the third chief of the mercenary alliance, Li Shanfeng's seed. Li Shanfeng, is he the old thing that you had a conflict with back then? Hua Yan frowned when he heard this. Seeing Li Daoyuan nodding his head with a gloomy face, Hua Yan couldn't help but take a deep breath. No wonder Li Zan came to the pill competition of Spirit Heaven Mansion. It was most likely because of Li Shanfeng, the key of the heavenly sovereign expert. Xiao Yu and the others will definitely lose. Li Daoyuan's face darkened. His fist violently smashed onto the crystal platform in front of him, causing numerous cracks to appear on the solid crystal platform. This round will not decide anything. The third round of pill concoction will be the highlight. Hua Yan smiled bitterly. He comforted Li Daoyuan and at the same time, he comforted himself. When Li Zan released the aura of the heavenly sovereign expert, some of the powerful experts on the viewing platform immediately sensed it. All of them looked at Li Zan with their mouths agape, and were so shocked that they couldn't speak. In the arena, Xiao Yu looked in Li Zan's direction. His calm expression couldn't help but reveal a trace of shock. The powerful ki unleashed by this fellow had affected him. Many of the low-ranked flames were trembling slightly. Looking at his own flames, Xiao Yu coldly harumphed. His soul force shook, and the effect brought by Li Zan was completely dissipated. Clenching his teeth, Xiao Yu calmed his state of mind once again and focused on his own matters. Xiao Yan, who was fully focused on controlling the saint aura into the monarch flame, was naturally not affected. He was affected by the impact of the heavenly sovereign aura. The monarch flame didn't even tremble a bit. However, with the help of the saint aura, Yi Tianshan, who was simulated by the monarch flame, became even more alive. Even so, it was as if he was facing a real ultimate saint expert. Under Xiaoyan's skillful control, there was still no trace of saint aura leaking out. When everyone's attention was attracted by Li Zan, Xiaoyan finally completed the process of exhausting his mind. Drip drip. As the last drop of sand fell, the second round of the competition finally came to an end under Li Daoyuan's vigorous voice. The moment the time was up, some people relaxed. Most of them were competitors with ashen faces. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.